Welcome to this episode of Scale as Needed.
Do we really need it, though? I don't think we need it.
I need it. I feel great.
We need to scale.
You guys don't feel great.
Gotta have
I'm having a weird vibe from you guys right now. Last week it was Daniel and Cliff, the weird cousinly sexual tension of Cliff moving out and Daniel being upset about it.
Yeah.
This
Very
week,
upset is true.
Kyle is just uncharacteristically quiet.
It's a beautiful day outside, and we shouldn't be here in this room.
Like that
we should
U2
be
song.
outside in the sunshine, experiencing this beautiful weather that we're
No
having.
one who's
Kyle-
ever worn a cult leader shirt
has ever
has
said
ever
it's a
said
beautiful.
it's a beautiful day outside and we should be out
No,
there in
Kyle
the
wants
sun.
to be
It's
outside
happened right
in a
now.
field, arms splayed out, with his cobalt blue sunglasses on, just
right.
singing that U2 song.
That's right.
It's a beautiful day. That one?
Yeah, that's one.
Okay, I nailed it.
Wait, which one?
So, the one that was automatically downloaded on everybody's iPhone. That one,
That was a whole album.
which I still have not gotten rid of. It's
Uno,
super annoying.
dos, tres, catorce.
Yeah, it's like 1, 2, 3, 14.
What does that mean? Why?
So, you're pissed that you're not outside right now?
We should be outside right now.
You guys want to relocate?
Yeah,
Let's just relocate.
Let's have class outside. We'll all sit Indian style in the grass, and the teacher will do things
Whoa.
to us.
Whoa.
Whoa.
That's right. That's where it starts.
Speaking of being outside,
Mm.
I don't know where I want to go with that. I'm gonna go one of two directions. Do you guys want to talk fitness, or do you guys want to talk Cliff moved into his own place?
Well, let's start with fitness. We'll work our way back around.
I don't know there's much to say. I'm very worried about my couch delivery situation. Other than that, I think it's all good.
Well, we'll talk about it when we get there, Cliff.
Oh, yeah, couch sit.
Yeah, Cliff, look, we're talking fitness now, all right?
Yeah.
Speaking of being outside,
Yeah.
Yeah?
to pick up my previous segue,
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I spent a little bit of time with Jacob Heppner.
Nice.
Chase, your microphone is hot and I can hear you clicking.
Sick.
So if we could do something about that, thanks, bud.
I'm just trying to do my job. Sorry.
Your job is to sit there quietly until we call on you to speak, Chase.
Do I get paid?
Chase is we need to get Chase like a dunce cap.
But Chase isn't a dunce.
Or no, he's not a dunce, but he's like he's the child who sits in the corner and faces the corner until he's called upon.
To be totally fair, Chase should have a seat at this table. That's what I don't understand why we didn't do that.
Yes.
It's a lot of buns at one table.
It's weird. It's like
Weird.
there's someone at this table who doesn't fitness who's at this table.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
weird.
While someone who
Yeah.
does fitness is at yet another. I can still hear your
It's going to keep
keyboard.
happening. I'm trying to make the title.
Because you know what?
Armin nearly died while
If
working out with
Chase sat
Jacob
at this
Heppner.
table, all you would hear the entire time is,
Well,
Yeah.
actually, anyway, either way, maybe one day we'll have Chase at the table.
Oh, now he's farting too. Oh, we can hear the farts.
Wow.
The farts are hot mic.
So I spent some time with Jacob Heppner, and the man is incredibly fit. I don't know what else to say about him. We are doing this thing with him where he basically wrote 8 weeks of workouts for us, just a couple workouts a week as supplementary stuff that people can add in. And the idea is it's Jacob Heppner's 8 weeks to making sucky workouts suck less. And that is precisely what it will do. It'll probably make you fitter, but you will certainly suffer the entire time and live the Jacob Heppner lifestyle.
Well, give us some examples of some of these workouts.
Here's an example. One of the workouts is and they all follow kind of similar. They all follow similar structures. So each week he has this type of workout that he does where it's 2 minutes of work, 4 minutes of rest, and you repeat that until you can finish a workout. So for example, the workout might be something like I'm not 100% sure if this is one of them, but it's something like 3 rounds of 10 fat bar clean and jerks with 185, 10 fat bar overhead squats with 185, and 10 muscle ups or something. So that might be the workout, and you have these 2 minute on, 4 minute off intervals to get it done. But each 2 minute interval, you have a buy-in. So the buy-in could be anywhere from, like a 40 calorie row, right? Yeah, 40 calorie row Or the craziest one was 21 deadlifts, 21 strict handstand push-ups.
Wait a
That's
second.
the buy-in to your 2-minute round of work.
Hold on a second. A 40-calorie row's got to take up a better part of 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Unless if the way I row anyway.
Yeah.
How do you
or
have
like
time for
30
fat bar
cal,
anything?
30 cal assault bike could be one of them.
Uh-huh.
Or like 100 double unders could be one. It's
Yeah,
just it's obviously so these. The thing about it is you might be listening and think to yourself, there's no way I could do this. And you're absolutely right. There is no way you could do that.
Yep.
But the workouts are the exact workouts that he was doing. And so
Well, that explains it.
yeah, so they're built for someone who has not just like games level capacity, but also, you know, top 10 in the world games level capacity and specifically good at these things. But there's ways of scaling it down, and you know we'll have all that included. You know, so that's one example of a type of workout. There's another workout they did that, you know, he put in there that he's never been able to finish. But you know, he has like kind of scaling options and how to continue. It's like an EMOM that is basically impossible after a certain point. I think it's like I want to say it's handstand push-ups and overhead squats, or overhead squats and toes to bar, or something like that. Some weird combination that just is impossible to get done. And so, you know, the idea is basically you already train, and these are 2 workouts a week that you can throw in that are going to hurt a lot, but also you know, kind of make it so that the next time something with these types of movements come up, it's literally impossible for them to be any more painful or harder than they were when you did them in these workouts. And you know, I saw him do some pretty crazy stuff while I was there. So we were looking at these workouts that he was writing out, but he wasn't exactly doing that. That's more like his regionals and games training style workouts. This stuff that he's doing now is like
Just for fun?
Yeah. This stuff that he's doing now is quote unquote his off season. He's getting stronger and trying not to do a lot of conditioning, and yet I watched him do like a 30-minute workouts, like 3 10-minute AMRAPs with a 1-minute break in between, of just, you name the terrible fitness implement involved and he used it. It was like skier, rowing, assault bike, running, double unders, overhead squats, toes to bar. Like he did everything, and he would do like hundreds of reps of wall ball day after day after day, and you know, sled pushes, and all of it is built around this idea that, you know, he needs a lot of you know, stress to get stronger. You know, his coaches are convinced that his body needs to have like just massive amounts of stress to grow and get stronger. And so yeah, his off season right now is pretty fascinating. I mean, we'll have a bunch of workout videos of the type of stuff that he was doing, but you know, we watched him hit this workout the last night that we were there, which had a bunch of max sets. And I think it was max wall balls, 1 max set of wall balls at 30 pounds, rest 4 minutes, 1 max set of toes to bar, rest 4 minutes, 1 max set of strict handstand push-ups, rest 4 minutes, 1 max set of overhead squats at body weight. Rest.
What does a max set of 30-pound wall balls look like for someone like Jacob Heppner?
Well, it's funny you should ask, because while we were
200?
there, well, he's done 200 wall ball with a 20-pound in a row.
Wow.
And the best wall ball performance I've ever heard of is Travis Mayer. He's done Karen with a 30-pound ball, so 150 unbroken. So
wow.
150 wall ball with a 30 unbroken, which is insanity to me.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, I don't know why you would do that. That's crazy, right? That's absolutely crazy. And so he knew that. He was like, you know, Travis's 150 unbroken is crazy. Like, I don't know. So he did, while we were there, he did 71.
Okay.
And then the next week, I saw on his Instagram, he repeated the exact same workout, and he got 101. I was like, holy shit, dude.
Did it
Sandbagging.
once, and then did it again.
Yeah, so I think there's obviously a big mental component to just continuing to do wall ball. It's a lot of pain, and it's very easy to just kind of stop at a certain point. But he also followed it up with, you know, the very last thing in that workout is max overhead squats with like body weight ish. I think they're using 185, which is a little under his body weight. Maybe 205, which is around his body weight. A little over. But he got like the old measurement of you're fitter than 99.9% of humans on the planet or that ever have existed is your body weight for overhead squats for 15 reps, one set of 15, which is crazy. I mean, that is very strong. At the end of all of that, he did like 25. It's just so nuts. It's just such his capacity and his strength are just so far beyond a normal person's that it's fascinating to just try and wrap my brain around how does he even get better? You know what I mean? Like, how does he, by doing all this stuff, like, is this what needs to happen in order to improve? Like, if you're at that level and you just need to just wreck yourself for hours a day doing so much volume, and this is his off season, like, this isn't even training for the games, training for regionals. You know, it's really fascinating to see. I
like Brent Fikowski's off season a lot better.
Yeah, Fikowski's off season is pretty legit. I mean, to compare, you know, in case people don't exactly know, Fikowski's off season is a lot of strength work, lots of banded stuff, lots of accessory work, lots of pressing, pulling, squatting in variations, and just very, very little conditioning. At least conditioning in the sense of, you know, redlining during a Metcon.
I wonder what that feels like, though, to be Jacob Heppner and, you know, to be like so beyond fitness wise, but then you follow Brent Fikowski on Instagram and you see his off season is like, I took a thin band and I attached it to the rack and then I moved my hand in a circle while holding the band, and then I beat Jacob Heppner at the CrossFit Games.
Damn rude.
Yes, I'm just saying. Like,
well, as I recall, we did the piece on Fikowski a while ago, and his off-season training consisted of working out once a day for 30 minutes or so.
It's like I'll take 2 light kettlebells and pick them up and raise them all the way over my head slowly 3 or 4 times, and then some sit-ups, and then I'll come in second at the CrossFit Games.
If only, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it is really fascinating to see the difference between you know, athletes like that. There's a lot of different approaches, and it works for some people and it doesn't work for others. I mean, look at Vellner. Vellner's done really well at the games 2 years in a row, and he's been a full-time student both years. So his training has also been truncated. Fikowski's training, he's recently shifted his role at his work, and so he's no longer working as the controller, and he's there now as like kind of like a project manager, which gives him more time to travel and you know be able to do you know, not necessarily more training. I don't think that's really what he wants. I think he just wants the freedom to be able to explore some of the opportunities that are coming up now because of his success at the games. And so, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what he does with that, because I remember when we filmed that documentary with him, one of the biggest things we kept asking him was, if you quit your job and you train more, do you think you'd win? Like, do you think you would do better by training more? And he was really adamant that he thinks he's doing everything he can. And I think he's right. You know, when you look at, you know, Jake is a very interesting, you know, an interesting person in the same ways that Fikowski is. A lot of people don't know that Jacob Heppner has a full-time job. It's probably a little less hours wise than a full-time job, but he works as a project manager for like a tech solutions company. And so, and it's remote. So he gets to work on his own hours, but he basically spends half the day every day doing his job, working, and then he trains the rest of the day. And so, you know, a lot of these athletes who are in the gym constantly, like Jake is kind of in a gym constantly because he has a barn gym, a really nice barn gym at his house, and also the gym that he's a member at, he has an office there that he can just go to and use the internet and work from there if he wants to. But he has some of the similar things as Fikowski in that, you know, he has a job that's not CrossFit based. You know, he has a degree that's not like exercise physiology. He has a degree in math.
He has a copy of Radiohead's In Rainbows on vinyl.
That's another thing he has in common with him. And he has a consistency in his schedule that like, you know, Fikowski does better than anybody else in the world. The thing that makes Fikowski so good, and same thing with like Matt Fraser did this as well, Rich Froning did this as well, is that they were able to prioritize their training so much so that everything else fell to the wayside, and so that they were able to basically build like their training into number one and or sort of like tied for number one priority with their families. And so, you know, Fikowski, when we were I was talking to him recently, he was saying like, I don't go out on the weekends, not because I don't like people or that I don't really want to go out, but because, you know, I spend my weekends getting better at my craft. Like I spend my Saturdays at the gym. I spend my Saturday nights sleeping and recovering. You know, like I spend Sundays with my wife. Like, you know, so, and Jake does the same thing. Jake's like, yeah, I have a schedule, and when I work out, I'm working out, and when it's dark, I come back inside, and my wife and I have dinner, and we just like, you know, we watch TV and relax, and I go sleep and I do it again the next day. And so that consistency of schedule is really interesting.
Other people have had a consistent schedule, like Rich Froning. His schedule was train all day. It was very consistent.
Wake up, destroy yourself.
Yes.
Destroy others around you.
Yes. Just smash your body into molecules, reform like some sort of space ghost.
Like Doomsday?
Exactly. Just like Doomsday. What? Like Doomsday?
That's the Doomsday origin story. Doomsday was created as like a lab experiment.
I follow you.
Thank you, Daniel.
I got you.
Now you've earned your seat at the table.
I just wanted to make sure that wasn't some sort of Batman versus Superman reference that I wasn't getting because I was blackout drunk during that movie.
And that's one of those fun super 90s origin stories. Is that Doomsday was created by just being destroyed repeatedly and living a hell life until each time he adapted further.
So, Armin, hot take. How does Jacob Heppner do at the games in 2018
versus Doomsday?
Based off what you saw. Based off what you saw.
It's tough. I think he still has top 10 in him for sure. I think the weights are what's going to start becoming really challenging for him. Unless he can really get a lot stronger, he's going to have a very hard time breaking past the top 10, I think. Because to put this in perspective, he just PR'd his snatch a couple weeks ago at 265 pounds.
Same.
So, so that's what I mean. Like,
and how do the other metrics stack up, Chase? Are they all side by side, all the way down the line?
Yeah. So it's like I think I'm confident in saying that in like a pure, if you removed some of the weight elements, he's going to be one of the best in the world. He has proven that just by qualifying for regionals so many times, or qualifying for the game so many times, and doing so well. I just think that strength-wise, he really needs to get that dialed in, or it's just not gonna happen. He's not gonna be in the top 5 or the top 3, because those guys are maybe not in terms of like top end red line as good as he is.
Yeah.
But they don't need to be, right? Because the games doesn't necessarily test that. It doesn't really care
about your capacity,
about that type of capacity. Right? It's a much broader test over those 4 days of the games.
About tests whether or not you are or are not named Matt Frazier.
That's right.
And if you are, well, that's a huge advantage on game day.
That's right. Yeah, it's very interesting. You know, and the guy who was out there shooting it with us, Preston, who does a lot of photography and videography for a bunch of different CrossFit stuff, Preston Smith. He's also the one who shot the Matt Frazier piece, that like 16-week long like Matt Frazier weekly thing that was on YouTube through the Open and the regionals and stuff. And you know, I asked him about kind of the similarities and the differences between what Jake's doing and what Matt was doing. And you know, one of the things that he brought up, which I think a lot of people lose sight of and makes a lot of sense when you think about it, but isn't necessarily, you know, clear when you watch Matt Frazier at the games or at regionals, is that when he's training, you know, the thing that sticks out the most is he trains at full blast, right? So there is no like slowing down in training. You know, when he's going to work out, he's going to work out as hard as he possibly can. And so I think people lose sight of the fact that, you know, the CrossFit prescription, quote unquote, is, you know, mechanics, consistency, intensity. You know, a lot of people will either try and like go full blast intensity without having mechanics or consistency, or they do something like, you know, decent mechanics, you know, consistent movement, consistent training, and then don't really ever ramp up into that 100% like want to die place. And, you know, my understanding is that Matt Fraser's training is he's in that 100% I want to die place every single time he's working out. And that lends itself to a lot of really interesting things because
I'm also in that I want to die place most times I work out, but it really doesn't have much to do.
Different end
it has
result.
Nothing to do with my physical output at any given moment.
It's a different one to die.
Yeah. There's different flavors.
I want to die. Kill me. No?
What?
From
Adam
Sandler.
Kill me, please. Yeah.
Adam Sandler's song.
Fuck are you guys talking
Adam
about?
Sandler's song
it's the,
in Wedding
from
Singer.
The Wedding Singer. When it's it starts out with a really sweet little song, and
the
then
last
turns
time
into "Somebody Kill Me, Please."
I think I saw that in theaters. Was the last time I saw that
Yep,
movie.
same here. In theaters
Listen
the
out.
one time, and
You know what's fun? We
it's
literally
about
have the
it.
power of headphones now. We could listen to it.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
We'd probably get
We
kicked
won't.
right
We won't
off
right
of-
now. We won't. But
We would get kicked right
for
off
future
of
reference,
Facebook.
is a thing we can do.
That's a big perspective change that you have to make in your training. Is like, yeah, it feels like if you do all this capacity, like Jacob Heppner does or Brent Fikowski does, that you're going to get better because you're doing all the things that you see at the games. But if you're just like half-assing it, nothing ever really changes. Until you really, truly want to die, you don't become you don't get any better.
Yes.
It's
or
really shitty.
You decide to kick it into high gear, really push yourself, and then you just get injured and get fatter over time, which is another thing that can happen.
Would
if
not
you're one
suggest
of those
doing that.
people.
My suggestion would be do not do that.
Yes.
Yeah. But the end result of that is you see someone like Rich Froning at the games, generally speaking, is able to hold a pace much faster than everybody else is without looking tired. And the same thing was going on with Matt Fraser. Like Matt Fraser at the games over the past 2 years has essentially just kept pace with the leaders in his heat and has never really redlined. He's never needed to just turn it up because his 80% is everyone else's 100%, it seems like.
I wish there was a way to somehow, and we'll never be able to actually do this, but to actually get inside of the kind of subjective experience of what redlining feels like to a person like me, or what redlining feels like to a person like Matt Fraser. Because that, I'm no doubt he's in some extreme discomfort, but I would bet that the extreme discomfort brought about by massive metabolic output for someone like Matt Fraser or Rich Froning is a very different feeling than it is for everyone else, because they sure do it a lot and feel great about it. So
I've always
it's like,
thought,
is the red that I see the same red that you see, man? Think about it.
Nice. I've always thought to myself that, and I still believe this: the better you are at CrossFit, the more it hurts.
Yeah.
So like the more.
So I'm fucking great, huh?
Yeah.
The more fit. No,
I am sick at CrossFit.
I think by opening up that level of fitness and capacity that you can just keep pushing harder at these workouts, I think it just changes the way that it hurts. It like you suffer more by being better, because that's one of the main things about CrossFit is the better you are at it, the more it requires you to suffer.
So the reason for my poor CrossFit performance broadly in life is that I just started out so good at it that it hurt so much.
That's right.
That's why I don't do it anymore.
Seriously,
Actually,
I'm the best at this table.
This is true.
It's because you haven't suffered enough.
There you go.
So just wrap your brain around.
Oh,
the
I've suffered enough,
Catholic
but
guilt.
maybe not in CrossFit.
Clearly not.
There.
Clearly, you have not suffered enough. If you had suffered enough, you would be CrossFit Games champion.
Rich Froning. He's the current one, right?
So there's your fitness talk. There's approximately 8.5 minutes of fitness talk, guys. We can just
Done.
move on from there.
Guys. We did it.
Cliff, why did you move? Why did you leave Daniel behind? Why did you break up with Daniel?
Because I want to walk around bottomless all the time where I live, and now I
That's a
can
good
do
reason.
that.
Now you only before now you had only bottomless Tuesdays.
Exactly. I had to schedule it out well ahead of time and all that. Now it's just all day or day. Yeah.
And he just got one of those big floor pianos from Big, and he just plays chopsticks with his feet, with his drums just flopping around.
Yeah.
No, I played chopsticks. Well, yeah.
It's his dick that's playing the highest note too.
And then he just does like a twister move.
I'm glad that's
Ooh,
an
dick twister. Yeah, that's an
Yes.
additional thing there I've never considered. Yeah. there probably is people do that. Probably is naked twister rules there. That's a whole separate thing.
It's also the name of a great television spokesperson. Hi, I'm Dick Twister.
So
I'm glad that's an everyday thing and not just something you did special whenever I came over to your house. There you go. I thought that was just special treatment. Now I feel better.
I just don't like all that football watching there. So I was trying to scare you off, but it didn't. I was just walking around bottomless right in front of him. He was fine with it. He wasn't even noticing.
Honestly,
he didn't
it made
even
the game
notice.
better.
different type of football.
Football.
It's like, what is this, Division 3? Oh, look, a dick.
I saw a video of a college football game where a rabbit was on the field, and it was adorable. He just kept running touchdowns over and over again. You guys see this? It was on Instagram. It was hilarious. Chase, you should be on top of this. Rabbit on a football field running touchdowns. It was great.
Is there like a
I saw this
reason or
video.
He
punchline
escaped
or
onto the thing, into the field, and he just kept running touchdowns, and the announcers were actually calling off the yardage as the rabbit was running towards the end zone. He's at the 10. He's at the 5.
Oh,
Look
okay.
at this adorable rabbit.
Look at that rabbit. And
That
the
is-
entire crowd cheered every time he scored a touchdown.
That's a big game too. Stanford and Oregon.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a big deal.
I saw that. It just filled me with rage.
Why?
I don't know.
I love
Hate
all of the
cute
football
things.
players just looking very confused. Like, what do we do? There's a rabbit on the field.
Must kill a rabbit. Why can't I kill the rabbit?
Could have had a very sad ending that would have just changed the whole tone of
Just some lineman falls on it and just explodes in blood, guts, and fur everywhere.
That's right. That part didn't make BuzzFeed.
He's like pulling an ear out of his face mask.
Oh, you know how I know I've lost some weight is when I see the height and weight stats for some of these linemen now, and I'm like, wait a second, I'm actually smaller than some of these guys.
Yeah.
Nice.
Before I would see 6'6", 305 pounds. It's like pussy. Now it's like, holy shit, some of these guys are actually bigger than I currently am.
That's right. What was it? Speaking of which, we saw on Half Thor's Instagram him like hanging out with like the Vikings, I think it was,
Yeah.
and like there's a photo of him at a bar just standing there with a bunch of the Vikings, and it's just like crazy that, I mean, they're all fucking huge because they're football players, and so it's weird to see him like standing around people who are like roughly his size, but he's still clearly bigger than all of them.
Much bigger.
It's one of those weird things. I think Armin or someone mentioned like a little while ago. It's like, why doesn't Heppner just become a football player? He could do it.
Yeah.
And like it's
He
really
should.
it's really interesting because it goes back to like I don't know if you guys remember Brock Lesnar was briefly on the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
And apparently the coaches afterwards were like, yeah, we would have. He was dropped from the team. But they're like, yeah, we would have signed him if he had any football experience.
Right.
The problem is, like, he can totally go around and just fucking kill people, but he doesn't know how to run plays in the way that, like, someone at that level has to.
Yeah, it's a totally different game.
But, like, the raw strength and ability was basically like, yeah, we would have fucking signed him.
Yeah. Speaking of Half Thor, he squatted 925.
925.
Right? And it looked great.
yeah, it was a ridiculously easy squat. It was incredible, actually. And that's like a gigantic range of motion because he is almost 7 feet tall.
If he had, as we were discussing last time, if he had just sort of quarter squatted it, it would have been the same range of motion as in a full Ray Williams squat. So.
Close,
Yeah.
pretty close. So he is very quickly coming up towards his 1,000-pound squat goal, which would be pretty insane.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thor's finally living up to the legend of his name there. He's
That's
finally
right.
living up.
He's no
finally
longer a half Thor. He's a full
he's
Thor.
Going full
God
Thor.
damn it.
I'd say we're only 2 weeks out from that 1,003-pound squat. I think he underestimated what he could do.
I mean, it looked good. He would really have to fight for a bigger, because he wasn't slowing down on the way up with that squat, but still 100 pounds is 100 pounds, or I guess 75 pounds is still 75 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he is certainly, he's close. He's definitely close.
Yeah.
I have a very hard time judging what is left in the tank when we're talking about numbers that big. You know, if I looked at someone squatting in like the 300 to 600 pound range, I could probably give you a much closer estimation of where his top end would be based off that, but he's definitely close.
Well, being somebody that squatted
Might fall.
1,000 pounds, I know specifically what he's going to hit next.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would say he probably has a really specific plan in place, and he probably knows when he's going to be going for his 1,000-pound squat.
Yeah.
Which
And
will
he
be
seemed,
very
and he's
interesting to see.
teasing it too, so he's definitely going for it. Speaking of squatting,
Okay. Let's keep it going.
So finally, I have brought to close to it. I have all tied up all the loose ends of my 2+ year
penis.
of my 2+ year journey with my exploded quadricep. In that I 2 years ago, I exploded my quadricep on a lift that was supposed to be a set of 5 at 350. And I worked my way incrementally 5 pounds at a time from a 45-pound bar. And then yesterday, finally again squatted my 350 by 5 on the squat.
You finally finished that workout.
I finished the workout.
Wow.
Just
a little detour.
Yes,
Slight
that's
detour.
right. So every second counts. It was 2 years and some months.
How did it feel?
As good as any squat feels for me now, which is weird on my knee, so it looks weird, and I'm usually just like every time I squat, even across one set, I'm kind of trying to find good positioning, so my knee doesn't feel weird while I'm doing it. So I think that now I've hit that, I'm going to take it back again and just start working on trying to clean up my squat form again, back to something that looks more consistent and stuff. But I'm glad I did it. So, squatting.
Mm-hmm.
And the circle is complete.
And the circle is complete.
With,
Yeah. Do you think they knew when they were writing that scene in Return of the Jedi? Because as someone who has, written a lot of really important screenplays, sometimes you accidentally, will throw in a word or a line 2 times and you don't really notice for a while. And I'm just wondering, in the last scene in Return of the Jedi, when the Emperor is talking to Luke, he says complete 3 times. And your journey to the dark side will be complete. Your transition will be complete. And I'm thinking that on the day, they were probably like, shit, that's in there 3 times. Fuck it, it's Star Wars. Just leave it in.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
He delivers that line so well.
I don't think anybody at that point was going to say, "Hey, Georgie, maybe you shouldn't have used this one word."
That's right.
That wasn't George didn't write that.
George didn't write that one.
Kasdan did, right?
Yep.
Kasdan wrote Return of the Jedi?
And Empire Strikes Back.
I thought he just wrote Empire Strikes Back and
Oh.
directed Empire Strikes Back.
Wait,
No,
was
he
it
didn't-
Kasdan
he didn't
who wrote
direct.
Jedi?
He did not. Irving
wrote
Kershner
it.
directed. Irving Kershner directed Empire
Yep.
Strikes Back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kasdan wasn't even a director at that time. I
Yeah.
don't think.
No, Kasdan wrote it, man.
Did
Yeah.
you guys hear the title of the Han Solo movie?
Yes.
I didn't. What is it?
It's
Solo.
called Stupid.
What?
It's called Solo.
It's called Solo.
Yeah.
A Star Wars story. A Star Wars story. Solo.
Yeah. And there was a big smiling Ron Howard head floating above it.
See, with that voice, you just make me want to see the whole movies version of it.
Solo.
Solo. A Star Wars story.
Listen to me, Brendan.
This movie is potentially not going to be that great.
Who knows? It
don't
is
know.
a total fucking crapshoot. So who the fuck
I don't
knows?
know. They're definitely going to just cram in every single possible.
I would just like
yeah.
one Star Wars film to come out in this Disney era where you just don't see all the ragged edges and seams and all of its wears and tears and scars from being pieced together haphazardly. Because that certainly was the case with Force Awakens. It certainly was the case with Rogue One. Just give me... And now we're going to face another film where one set of directors shot the whole movie, and then another director came in and did massive reshoots. And it's just so we're going to get another film that probably feels incredibly stitched together and weird and off the whole time. It's at one point are we going to get one where it's they write a script, they make a movie out of that script.
Episode
It
8.
might be this next one.
Let's say it.
here.
Ryan Johnson is
It's
our
true.
only hope.
It's our only auteurist entry in this whole.
Speaking of which,
new
did we
en-
tell
new
the story
endeavor.
last week of your massive failing, Armin?
My massive failing of what?
Getting
buying
a Star Wars tickets.
Oh, yeah. So Star Wars tickets, if you guys didn't know, went on sale. And they went on sale on a Monday, and we were told they're going to be on sale on Monday, but not when they were going to be on sale. And so I thought to myself, I'm going to buy tickets. I'm going to buy 10 tickets, and I'm going to buy tickets for my bros,
Yeah.
and Daniel, and and so I thought to myself, I was like, I'm gonna get a row of tickets. It's gonna be great. And I downloaded the app, and I kept opening the app and checking it, and it was like tickets aren't on sale. Tickets aren't on sale. The entire day goes by, and I've been at home or at work with my phone glued to my side, and my phone is about to die. It's at like 3% battery. I was like, all right, I've got to go buy some groceries. 20 minutes door to door, quick adventure. So I plug my phone in, in and out, plug my phone in, and I come back. And like I'm, all happy-go-lucky, ready to check my phone, and I open my phone.
You had your churro ice cream,
and I had a text from. No, I wish I had a text from Daniel that said, "It's up, go, go, go," which was from 15 minutes ago.
So was this a surprise announcement, or did Daniel have the intelligence ahead of time?
No. Well, so what happened was they weren't. So Alamo wasn't, or / any theater wasn't legally allowed to say tickets are up until the halftime thing when they debuted the new trailer. Or this is at least the thing that I've heard. However, multiple like websites like Fandango and like whatever, the rest of them, started putting the tickets up early.
Interesting.
And so I don't think it was just Alamo. I think it was a lot of theaters. Then we're like, shit, like they're gonna, because they get more money if they, if it goes through their own website as opposed to through like Fandango or whatever. They're like, shit, just put it up, go. And so I only knew that because I like opened up like Facebook and just like there were like 2 or 3 posts like tickets are up, go, because they went up early.
Interesting.
It was supposed to be during halftime of that game.
Yeah, I definitely dropped the ball, and so the moral of the story is we don't have any Star Wars tickets. I didn't buy any Star Wars tickets.
Cliff picked up that ball.
Oh yeah. Oh, did I lose those tickets? I hope I still have them.
I hope you
bought
didn't.
some. Yeah.
Apparently, Cliff bought some tickets.
He did.
Yeah. I texted you guys.
It's for Saturday.
Yeah, for Saturday.
Oh, that's right.
Not for the day.
That's right. I'm not going to be around, unfortunately.
Confirmed.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I will be out of town that weekend, but I'm going to try and catch it. I'm going to be in New Orleans, so I'm going to try and catch it in New Orleans if I can.
You got to buy those New Orleans tickets.
Got to buy those New Orleans tickets.
Yeah, the question is this movie going to
Narlands.
be good enough that it's worth seeing multiple times in the theater? That is an open question.
I would take that bet. 10 out of 10. I would buy multiple viewings tickets and just see what happens.
I did actually end up getting like a ticket once we found out that like tickets weren't available for Thursday. I got a ticket for I think it's like I swear to God it's like 12:30 or 1 a.m.
It's like a 2 a.m. showing.
Yeah. And I'm like heavily concerned. It's like, do I keep this ticket? Do I not? Let's see what happens.
To be totally fair, I ended up like the day of The Force Awakens coming out. Katie and I bought tickets to go watch it at like a midnight showing.
And
so I'm not super worried.
I think so many other people have bought multiple tickets that I ended up getting a ticket, something like through Daniel, I think, the day of, even though I didn't have a ticket. Because a lot of people are buying 7 tickets, assuming they'll find people later on.
Well, I know what happened with us, actually, was specifically one of my good friends, Luke, actually had the main theater, like Alamo Top Brass, like special people theater tickets, but couldn't make it that night.
That's why my seat was made of brass.
Exactly. And like I remember I was just hanging out with him, and he's like, "Dude, do you want tickets for opening night of Star Wars?" Yes, I fucking do.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll happen again.
Did you guys go see Blade Runner?
Some people did.
Yeah.
Oh, we did see Blade Runner. Yeah, we were going to talk about that. Yeah, we all did.
I didn't.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Damn. Underwhelming. I thought it was dope.
I liked it. I thought it was really good.
I already bought all the jackets.
Oh, nice.
You bought the jacket? Is that what you said?
I bought all the jackets, and I got me some bees. So.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
The
The bees.
The bee scene was interesting.
Are you going to be K for Halloween?
Yeah, as soon as that whole like skin thing and looking like Ryan Gosling surgery goes through.
You're going to be Brown K?
What I want to figure out
the,
is was not Han Solo
Might as well
was
be.
old Rick Deckard living exclusively on honey
And whiskey.
And whiskey.
honey and whiskey. That is a good diet. Can you survive and still
that
be a
dog.
jacked 60-year-old? Yes.
Carbs and fats.
Well, here's the thing about Blade Runner 2049 is because I'm not the biggest Denis Villeneuve fan and I'm not the biggest Blade Runner fan, I was kind of going in there not necessarily expecting to like it. And sure enough, on the other end, I didn't really feel that I liked it that much, but it was more frustrating not liking it than I had expected going in.
Interesting.
And the reason I say that is because there's so much good, I think, that could have been done in that film, or that they were on the verge of doing in that film that they didn't do, and or just complicated by making it incredibly frustrated what was good to kind of ruin it. That by the time I came out of it, I had gone through the journey of like my expectations are very low to, oh, this is maybe sort of interesting, all the way back to the net result was negative yet again. And so it was a different kind of not liking it than I expected. And one of the biggest things that was most conspicuous about it to me was the fact that it was almost antagonistically slow. Like, it was slow to a degree, and by slow I mean I don't even necessarily mean it didn't move that well. It moved all right. It was fine, broadly across the film. But what I mean is that there was so much, and this is one of the attributes I've seen in many of the news movies, is that scene by scene there was so much air and so much time and so much space. It was like a screenplay for a 90-minute movie or 100-minute movie that took 2.5 hours and took 2.5 hours to tell, because every scene was about. And I know that this is the kind of criticism that's often levied against big sci-fi films that just have a lot of bloat and a lot of excess. But again, it was antagonistically slow, to the point where, like, very early on, there's a scene where he frolics with his hologram girlfriend on a roof, and she goes out, she feels the rain, and it's this whole moment where it's an interesting moment. But there was time in this moment for me to, like, experience what was going on in the scene, my mind to then disengage, because we were still on this roof with them talking, or not even talking, her just sort of extending her hands and feeling the rain, my mind to drift to something else, and then eventually, what felt like an hour later, return to the movie, and we were still in that scene. And this began to happen over and over and over again. It was entirely the director doing this. It was not present on a textual level. It is entirely the director doing this, and it continued to happen over and over again, where you just sort of begin. And again, it's something that's been present in his other films. It's why I stopped watching Sicario halfway through. And it happened over and over again, to the point where I remember at one point I was like, I need a fucking break. And it's like, and fucking Ryan Gosling walks in and he's going to talk to Robin Wright. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be an exposition scene. It'll be pretty quick, but I'll just go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom, like, got up, walked out of the theater, went to the bathroom, stood in the bathroom for a while on my phone, thinking just like, I don't have what it takes to walk back in there right now. And then finally walked back in, and I was legitimately flabbergasted, because I felt like I had taken like a 10-minute break. They were still in that fucking office when I came back in. What the fuck? Like, I'm serious. I was surprised that they were still in that goddamn office talking.
You're such a fucking contrarian, Kyle.
In what way?
Nothing is good enough. Nothing is ever okay.
It was
Everything needs to be shit on and dissected to.
But how is that a contrary opinion? I mean, I don't think it is not a much beloved movie at this point.
And here's the other thing: is
that the mainstream
No,
opinion?
I don't. I think it's just
there's so much to like. No, there's so much to like in Arrival, and I had my criticisms of that. But even Arrival is a film that I think can support that kind of time and that kind of tone, because there are actually there's some things that are a little mind-blowing, some things that have some interesting ideas that are a little bit profound that you can sit and marinate in, that are but the plot, for those of you who have not seen it, of Blade Runner 2049, for the first 75% of it, so let's say the first 2 hours, is just a Law and Order episode. It's literally just a law. It's like the structure of everything.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery, but there's a good way for mysteries to unfold. See movies like David Fincher films. There's a good way for mysteries to unfold, and then there is the Law and Order way, which is just listen, did you see what can you tell me about the girl? Well, I don't know anything about the girl. Tell me what you know about the girl. All right, all I know is that she left with a guy in a red hat. Cut to, and like I'm walking up to a guy in a red hat. Someone says you with the red hat. What is you? Listen, I don't know anything about the girl. Tell me what you know about the girl. Listen, all I know about the girl is that she got into a green car. Cut to a shot of a green car. And it's just being passed from textual identifier and object to object to object, handing the baton off. And when you continue to do that, and this was all the plot was, like, what do you know about the girl? oh, she was in a fucking orphanage, and then then 20 minutes of him flying, and then he lands at the orphanage, and then it's like, what can you tell me? What can you tell me about the girl? And he's like, I don't keep records. Tell me. All right, here's the book, and he opens the book, and it's like, what can you tell me? She had a horse. I don't know, and.
It sounded like Morty.
And I don't know, Rick. Jeez. I'm just saying it felt a little bit overwrought and just really not worth the time and investment, and a bit of a disappointment after 30 years of waiting for a sequel, even if I had been a fan, which I wasn't. Rick. But I don't know. It's just like, and that's the thing that sucks is that when we get near the end, there's a couple of fun plot ideas that emerge near the end. The design is nothing. Again, it's absolutely a perfect successor to Blade Runner in this way. It is the most visually of any film that's come out in several years. In that the design, the movement, it is the most robust cinematically of almost anything I've seen in the last several years. There's so much there that is totally worth looking at, and yet it is all, and honestly, you know, if the thing had been told by someone who was not, I think, trying to defiantly slow down the tone of the film, someone who actually told it at the clip that I think was appropriate given the nature of the screenplay that was written, then I think it would have moved well and been a cool, schlocky, incredibly gorgeous science fiction movie. And instead, I guess, kind of fruitlessly chasing some sort of artistic credibility, he just took utterly conventional scenes that we've seen in lots of terrible Hollywood blockbusters and thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to slow this scene way the fuck down so people have time to stare at all this production design, which is really what is kind of my bread and butter here. And all the net result is just feeling, I felt so exhausted by the end of the movie that I can't say it was a positive experience.
It's a made-for-Netflix movie, so it's based off our attention span now. All the scenes drag on really long, so you can like phase out, check your entire Instagram feed, check Twitter.
No, that's not a bad idea there. In fact, no, I heard here's
better that way.
Oh, here's a conversation, no bullshit, I heard at the gym while stretching between two girls, one who had seen Blade Runner and one who hadn't and wanted to know more. And to cut the long conversation short, where the one girl was like, I mean, it's like really good looking stuff, and it was really boring, and all that stuff. And then the conclusion at the end of a long conversation, they really got into it, and she was trying to explain the concept and was confused herself about the concept because it doesn't make any sense. At the end, the other girl was like, yeah, I'll check it out on Netflix. And you know what? That is an accurate summation of that.
If you could pause it every 20 minutes and go get something out of the kitchen, it would probably be a lot better of an experience.
Did you not order food whenever you saw it?
Did I eat? Yeah, I ate. Yeah.
I never not order food at the Alamo.
I think I had maybe 2 or 3 burgers. So that affected my opinion.
You had
that is a through line that is propulsive, that gets you getting through a movie there. That's you're waiting for your next, that is some suspense. When will the next burger be delivered?
There's a payoff. And then it's yet another movie where we get to see Harrison Ford just not giving a shit, like so hard.
I need another plane.
Oh, and it's the other thing is like in like Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, or in the Star Wars movie, there's just a swirl of action and energy around him, so you don't give time to really fixate on how much he's not giving a shit the whole time. It's like, yeah, there's music and there's action and there's shit going on. In this film, there's like a whole wonderful scene where Jared Leto is supposed to be trying to like torment him with all sorts of dramatic revelations, and my God, they're just holding on his, and like there's clearly a moment, and I can feel like Denis Villeneuve's pain of like trying to like, all right, Harrison, just try and react in some way to this. And there's like, what they finally got out of him after him just staring like slack-faced at the camera the whole time is he's kind of like, ugh. And that's his reaction, and it's just like he clearly is high out of his mind. He doesn't give a shit, and they could not build the scene around, like the scene itself implodes based on his inability to do what he once did.
What this movie really showed me is, spoiler alert. Sorry, Daniel. what this movie has really shown me.
No, after this conversation, I'm really excited to go see this movie this weekend.
Well, I thought it was good. I liked the movie.
There's lots of good individual elements for sure.
What's been really interesting, and we've talked about this a lot, is this idea of sort of grabbing things from the 80s and the 90s and pulling them into today, and just kind of like making this weird, self-referential, self-aware, but maybe not really self-aware, like media and content around it.
Oh, is this what we were talking about on the way out of the theater?
Yeah, like
I just want to touch on this. So it's like this is the third movie in a row. Like all of our movies now are all about Shia LaBeouf. You get to be Harrison Ford's son. Now Adam Driver, you get to be Harrison Ford's son. And now Ryan Gosling, guess what? You get to be Harrison Ford's son. And everybody gets to be Harrison Ford's son. It's like all of our modern pop culture is about wanting Harrison Ford to be our dad.
That's it.
And it's so telling because it's a perfect distillation of all of movie culture these days. Yeah.
As that dawned on me, and I was like, I can't fucking believe it. That's exactly it. Like that has been the driving factor for this entire resurgence of his career. It's basically been like, man, I guess as a kid, all I ever wanted was Indiana Jones as my dad. So let's just make a Mary Sue and put him as Indiana Jones as
But
kid.
it sort of collapses with Blade Runner because really, you can want Indiana Jones to be your dad. You can want Han Solo to be your dad.
Who wants Deckard to be your dad?
Who wants Frank Deckard to be your dad?
Nobody.
Frank Deckard?
Rick
no one wants to. Rick Deckard. Rick Deckard. Who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah, well, they only ever call him Deckard anyway.
You know what name I've never forgotten? Indiana Jones. I'm like, is it Mark Jones? Or is it... Oh, it's Indiana Jones. It's not Mark Jones.
Franklin Jones?
Yeah, so there's there really is something to be said there. We need to either really dig deep into the psychological implications of that or just leave it the fuck alone.
I think it's right there. I think it's just right there on like it's like we're less interested in creating our own Han Solos and Indiana Joneses these days than we are like, and I think this was not my observation. I'm just repeating something someone else said, but I think it's quite telling, which is the fact that they said of The Force Awakens that, it's like Star Wars was about this and about hope and about a bunch of different themes, and he says that Force Awakens is about Star Wars, and that's 100% true in that there seemed to be things that did not make sense to me when I saw Force Awakens that were part of what made it so frustrating. Like, there seems to be a great opportunity for dramatic irony to have the younger characters meet Han Solo but not know who Han Solo is, or Han Solo to have grown or changed in some significant way. I mean, think about like Sarah Connor between Terminator 1 and 2. She changes radically, and that's part of the fun of seeing the movie. And instead,
she can do chin-ups.
Yes, exactly. She can do chin-ups. And instead, Han Solo looks unchanged. And all of the characters are immediately upon meeting him like, Han Solo, the Han Solo, and the same thing, same thing with Luke Skywalker or Princess Leia or any of those things, which just seems a bit dramatically inept, and yet it all makes sense when you realize, oh, this is just a movie about liking Star Wars. Again, we've talked about this with several other things, how everything kind of feels like fan fiction these days, but it's a movie about how like important lightsabers are and how much we like Han Solo, and maybe Han Solo is my dad now. Yeah, and that's
what
really
it is.
And
it's funny because like when you watch like The Force Awakens, and I've said this like since we saw it together, and then like immediately walked into the highball afterwards, and we're like, it's like the first 30 minutes is great. It is a great fun time. As soon as Han Solo shows up, all of a sudden the wheels fall off the spaceship.
In all fairness, I also didn't like the first 30 minutes. But I don't know. It's just not because it's not. And again, it's not. I'm not fixating on the Harrison Ford or the Han Solo aspect of it, or Harrison Ford in this. But it's just it is just indicative of the larger problem, which is they're not interested in telling new stories. They're interested in having characters walk in and then react to the kind of aftershocks of the stories that we grew up on, and it's just blech.
Has there been any character I mean, I don't want to use word iconic, but iconic like Han Solo in the past 15 years.
Well, I mean, what Marvel is doing right now is creating new heroes and things, but they're based obviously on older properties that just haven't existed in the cinematic realm before. So we have, I mean, as much as I say they don't exist now, they kind of do. I'm sure there's a generation of kids who are growing up
who want Iron Man to be their
dad.
who are idolizing Robert Downey Jr.
The really fun thing is, like, go back, like, 15, 20 years and, like, ask the general public, who's Iron Man?
Yeah.
The fuck? What's that?
Yeah.
Like the race?
Yeah. And so I just think that, so those things exist.
The Black Sabbath song.
Exactly. Exactly.
I hope to one day be in a film where I think Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. is my dad.
And you're going to get that opportunity.
Yeah,
it's true. Look at
20
that job.
years. Yeah. In 20 years, there's going to be like a Birdman-esque like melodrama with Robert Downey Jr. playing some alcoholic billionaire who finds out he has a son who's pretending to be a superhero. It's going to be great.
It's called Spider-Man Homecoming.
I never watched it.
You need
to this day, I've not watched
holy
Spider-Man.
shit, dude.
That's one of the good ones.
Yeah,
is it really?
It's so
everyone
fun.
keeps saying that. I haven't done it.
It's honestly, just reflecting on it now, that's honestly one of my favorite of the Marvel movies.
Yeah. Fuck you, Arminstein. I don't like anything. I like Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out. You're just saying that because I brought up your contrarian
I have been saying
earlier.
I've been liking it for months. There's a record of it. It's on this
Unfucking believable.
It's true. It is on this one. You know what light is on the horizon, though?
What is that?
Thor Ragnarok, guys.
That's right. That's probably going to be great.
I'm
going to prejudge the shit out of
that movie
to being great right now.
I am excited about that one.
I don't even know. That comes out in November. We should probably watch that.
Yeah. Speaking of which, speaking of new things that are based on old things, there was a hour-long press conference given by James Cameron and Deadpool director Tim Miller. He's not a New Zealand guy, but I just decided to pronounce his name Tim for no reason.
Tim.
Probably because I was thinking about Taika Waititi's and Thor Ragnarok. Anyway, announcing their plans for the new Terminator trilogy.
What?
And, you haven't heard about this? Oh, it's great.
Why?
Well, here's the difference. And here's why I am reserving judgment. Because James Cameron really hasn't been involved since Terminator 2, and James Cameron, because he don't give a fuck anymore, has not only taken the control of the Terminator property again and is working on with writers and Tim Miller on this new trilogy, and he's very excited about it, blah, 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 blah. They have the scripts planned out, whatever. But he is completely he's completely negating everything after Terminator 2.
Oh,
so
wow.
they're just picking up right after Terminator 2.
That's great.
And guess who's returning? Both Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton will be returning as Sarah Connor.
How do you do that?
Well, they're going to be older.
Why would a Terminator age?
Well, that
apparently you didn't see the Terminator Genesis.
Of course I didn't.
If you had seen Terminator Genesis, which is funny because they use the same justification in Terminator Genesis, that he's a cyborg, so his skin ages around him, and so they have a narrative contrivance whereby the particular Terminator that Arnold Schwarzenegger has been playing was sent to complete his mission, did or didn't, and then just hung out on Earth for 30 years getting older. But when James Cameron was asked how is he going to reprise the role, he essentially said the exact same thing. He says, well, his outside is made of skin, so the rude stuff, so he's just going to age. But
that's not going to work.
Anyway, who knows? But
he doesn't move the same way he did when he was 20-something.
The important thing to remember, though, is that this movie is going to make $1 billion.
My old Terminator skeleton.
Yes. Will it, though? Is this going to make $1 billion?
This I am calling
every movie he touches makes $1 billion.
Yes,
it's true.
And here's the other thing.
You know what's going to be weird? When Avatar 2 somehow still makes $1 billion.
Unfucking believable.
It's been 10 years since Avatar 1.
Do you remember that existed? Does anyone remember?
Has that dude made
you're going
movie
to.
since?
No.
He's
been exploring the sea.
He's been exploring.
No. I don't mean James Cameron. I mean the actor, the Australian guy who played Jake Sully.
Yes,
wasn't he in Terminator Genesis?
They lost him in the jungle
or some Terminator movie.
Wasn't he in one of the Terminator movies?
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
No, he was not in Genesis. He was in
Terminator
Salvation.
Christian Bale.
Yeah.
What's happening?
By the way, speaking of fucking terrible, mishandled fucking sequels, you know, like the biggest gimme in the world is, hey, you know what we're finally going to do? We're finally going to make that movie that's about John. Like the lead's going to be John Connor, and it's going to be about him fighting the machines, and then eventually sending so and so back in time, and like it'll be about the war between the humans and the machines in the future. It's a fucking gimme, and they botched it
really badly,
so badly,
really badly,
so badly. And just it was so overwrought, and so like now John Connor like wasn't the leader of the human resistance. It was like Michael Ironside or some Michael Ironside analog who's like a general.
No, it's literally Michael Ironside.
Oh, is it literally Michael Ironside?
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm not misremembering this. And then all of the sudden, and John Connor is like some lesser figure, but around whom there's like a messianic sort of mythos.
Because he speaks on the radio.
But then there's like, and it turns out it's not about exactly. It turns out it's not about them smashing the Terminators because it's what the Terminators want, and there's a thing, and it's like it was a gimme, guys. It was a fucking gimme, and you fucked it up.
The thing is, you don't need to make everything twisty.
Yeah,
you know, you don't need to make really crazy plot twists. And everything.
Oh, and what I love is that what was his name for the guy from Avatar who was in that?
Sam Worthington.
Sam Worthington.
I'm looking at his filmography right now. By the way, I just want to. But all right, so I'm looking at what he's done since Terminator and like Avatar. He did Clash of the Titans. Guys remember that?
Both of them,
and Wrath of the Titans, and basically nothing else of note except for The Keeping Room, which was really fun. I liked that a lot.
Oh, right.
But yeah, like way down in the thing, he's got for 2020 and 2021, he's got Avatar 2 and 3 slated in, and I guarantee you, he's just like, oh, thank God, giant payday. I am going to stay in my house. I'm going to be so happy.
Well, imagine the position, though, that he's in of you know, he's in this movie. It becomes the biggest movie of all time. $2.7 billion at the box office, and right out of the gate.
And we have to ask what his name is.
And exactly. Exactly. But right out of the gate, imagine this, right out of the gate, James Cameron is like, hey, I have got 2, possibly 3 sequels already planned. And he's like, good, I am definitely not going to be out of work for 10 years. Like, the one thing I can be assured of is I'm going to be working quite a bit on all of these Avatar sequels, certainly within 5 years, if not within 3. And instead, he spends 10 years waiting for James Cameron to get his shit together.
My favorite thing. So Sam Worthington always reminds me of just like the various anonymous handsome guys who just end up in these parts, and Jai Courtney being another one of them. You know what Jai Courtney was in? Terminator Genesis.
Of course.
Wow. He was Kyle Reese.
Yes, of course he was.
It's perfect because it's just the pathway you have to take. Generic handsome guy. You make one big-ish movie or the biggest movie in the world.
Yep.
Then you do a Terminator movie and then you disappear.
That's right.
What's the next movie that's going to be ruined with an unnecessary sequel? What are we going to see happen here?
I've heard that they're going to remake Hocus Pocus with an all new cast.
I don't know why you would do that.
Yeah,
the original is so fucking good.
It is.
Yes.
There's no reason to fuck with something that's already that incredible.
It's good, and it's good in a way that's not really based on the concept. It's just it happened. It's a stupid, weird idea that happened to be executed magically.
Yeah,
and it's a perfect moment captured in time that really can never be captured again.
Agreed.
And they're gonna try. They're gonna try.
So one of my favorite things is like the day that was announced. I have like just a million people in my Facebook feed. I was like, no, what are they doing, etc. Whereas my reaction is, cool, I just won't see it. And it's like this thing. It's like, guys, them making a new Hocus Pocus doesn't erase the old one. Just don't see the new one.
Unless you're George Lucas, in which case it does.
This Hocus Pocus will have a new twist of being an all-male cast of witches. Sorry, I just had to.
Why not?
That would be funny.
Yeah, I just feel like that's exactly where we're going. We're going to unnecessary sequelville, and everything is bad.
Yeah. By the way, before I came,
except Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Except Spider-Man: Homecoming
and Blade Runner 2049. It was good.
But I saw a 2.5-minute featurette on Bright, the new
the Will Smith movie.
The David Ayer, Will Smith
on Netflix.
Yeah, on Netflix.
Does that look good?
That'll be something. I'll tell you what.
So the concept there is Will Smith plays like a detective teamed up with an orc.
An orc, yeah. Yep. And in a way, to take a big step back for a second, like the concept, as absurd as it sounds, like I get it. In that, as you know, fantasy films, like Lord of the Rings and everything, have often had a discourse surrounding them of like the weird like ideas about like racial interaction within them. It's like, what is Lord of the Rings saying? Where there's like, well, there's the master race of this species, and there's another race. Like there's a lot of loaded stuff about different races within that, from which a lot of discourse has then erupted in the decades in between. And then one genre of film that often deals with a lot of racism and stuff and a lot of racially fraught issues is like the street level cop movie, as was characterized by the Citadel of Ricks with the Rick and Morty episode. So the idea of putting those two things together, it's like, what if we took the fantasy races of a Lord of the Rings type world and threw it into a gritty street level cop movie that deals with racially charged issues? And sure enough, by the way, the fucking the featurette gets into the fact that what is it, fucking Joel Edgerton's plays the first orc cop on the Force, and and that Will Smith's character is having to deal with the fact that his partner is an orc and all of those things, which is
so like literally hating each other, and they're gonna like each other by the end,
which is literally the dynamic being parodied in the Citadel of Ricks episode, which I find particularly funny.
It's just orcs killing orcs.
Just orcs, yes, exactly.
That's gonna be an interesting one.
It's just that his movies have been like so dumb. Suicide Squad is so dumb,
but it earned a sequel.
It sure did.
What? It sure did earn a sequel.
Multiple sequels, as there is apparently going to be a Harley Quinn movie, a Joker movie, and
another Joker movie,
and a Suicide Squad movie,
and another Joker movie. 2 Joker movies.
2.
Did
you guys?
Go ahead, Chase.
Did you guys see that Will Smith has a new song?
No,
I heard about this.
Oh, is it featured on the Bright soundtrack?
Yeah, God, the theme for Bright.
That's a good question. It's called Get Lit, and it has Jazzy Jeff in it.
Definitely is a sequel. Are they gonna make a the Fresh King of Bel-Air? Dude,
God, I hope
yes. Fuck yes, the Fresh King of Bel-Air.
If Will Smith were hard up for money,
I know. If Will Smith, the only thing stopping that from happening is that his career is still doing very
vibrant.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Like if this were like the reality where Bob Saget is the Will Smith star, level star, and Will Smith is just like, fuck, I need some money, we would be getting that.
We would be getting the sequel series where he lives in Bel Air, having made money in music or some other fun creative profession, and then he now inherits the young kid from the wrong side of the tracks that has to live in his house. And the only reason that is not a show right now is because he still has a vibrant movie career. And I cite as evidence the fact that despite the fact that John Goodman is doing pretty well, there is a new Roseanne series being done that he will be in. So
even though he was killed off in the original Roseanne.
Was he?
At the series finale. The series finale jumps forward, X amount of years, and he has a heart attack.
And it actually, I think it states that the final season was all a dream or something like that.
The whole thing was her dream, hoping that everything would be okay, even though she was already dead.
Just like season 9 of Dallas.
Yeah, it's what I think. It is what if my husband hadn't have died a year ago or something like that.
Just like all of the Terminator films that followed Terminator 2.
Yeah. I think we're gonna stop here.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to stop now.
We're talking about Roseanne. It needs to end.
We're just gonna stop here now. we made it. We finally made it. 6 degrees to Roseanne.
All right.
All right. So social media situations.
I am Mr. Kyle Bogart on the best motherfucking Instagram account on the internet.
I am Cliff Bogart on an Instagram account that was updated this week, so check it out. You guys see the one new photo this month.
It's a dick pic.
At Cliff Bogart.
Well, he was bottomless when he took.
Was it Mr. Cliff Bogart? No, just Cliff.
No,
Bogart.
just at Cliff Bogart.
Yeah,
and it's not that creative.
And I'm a Supersonic Man on Twitter, Instagram, etc. And I host Hot Tag, available on iTunes.
Chase
504 on all the things.
Fantastic. And I'm at Armin Hoist. Thank you so much, folks, for listening, and we will catch you next week. Later.
Woo.